Nice people get played. Why do nice people keep getting screwed over? Seriously, why is it that the ones who try to be kind, fair, and decent often end up the ones betrayed, burned out, or just flat out ignored? Here's the ugly truth. You're not being played because you're weak. You're being played because you think the world rewards goodness. It doesn't. It uses it. Think about it. That friend who keeps taking advantage of your patience? The boss who knows you'll stay late without asking for anything back? It's not a glitch in the system. It is the system. Niccolo Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. In The Prince, he warned rulers not to be good unless it was useful, because in a world driven by power, not fairness, virtue without strategy is a liability. You're taught that if you're kind, honest, and selfless, the world will return the favor. But kindness without boundaries isn't noble. It's bait. People see it, and some will test how much they can take, not because they're evil, but because you've trained them to expect no consequences. Here's the part that stings. Being good isn't enough. Not today, maybe not ever. If you don't protect your goodness with sharp eyes and smart limits, you'll become easy prey. Because people don't just respect virtue, they respect strength. So no, you don't need to become cold or cruel, but you do need to be dangerous, on purpose. Strategy isn't betrayal, it's survival. Because next, we're going to talk about what happens when you stop trying to be liked and start learning how to be feared. Society rewards masks, not morals. We love to say we value honesty. Be yourself. Keep it real. That's the story society tells. But here's the catch. Those who actually show themselves, they often get punished for it. Meanwhile, the ones who wear the best masks, they rise. In truth, the game doesn't reward authenticity. It rewards performance. Look around. The charming coworker who always flatters the boss gets promoted. The influencer who pretends to care about mental health sells products. The partner who says all the right things gets your trust, even when their actions don't match. We want to believe people's words, their smiles, their curated versions of self. Because it's easier, it's cleaner, it feels safe. But power rarely shows up raw and honest. It dresses up. It adapts. Machiavelli warned about this centuries ago, how a prince must learn to appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, religious, and yet be ready to act otherwise. Because perception builds power faster than truth ever will. And you? You've probably felt the sting of this. Maybe you told the truth and got shut down. Maybe you didn't play along, and someone more likable took your place. It's not that you're doing life wrong. It's that you're in a world that mistakes performance for character. So what now? You don't have to become fake, but you do need to see the game clearly. If you're going to survive and thrive, you need to stop assuming that sincerity is enough. Next, we're going to break down exactly how manipulators use charm as a weapon and how to see through it before it's too late. How the world really works. Let's stop pretending the world runs on fairness. It doesn't. It runs on leverage, on perception, on the brutal behind-the-scenes moves that polite people don't talk about. And if that sounds cynical, it's only because you've been sold a fantasy. Machiavelli wasn't trying to be evil. He was just honest about how power actually works. In The Prince, written in the cutthroat chaos of Renaissance Italy, a time when alliances turned overnight, popes raised armies, and betrayal was Tuesday, he made one thing painfully clear. Nice guys don't win thrones. Strategists do. You see it throughout history. Julius Caesar didn't conquer Gaul through kindness. He used calculated brutality, then spun it as heroism. In business, Rockefeller crushed his competitors through ruthless price wars. then donated millions to shape his legacy. Even in modern politics, those who rise often do so by smiling in public while playing chess behind closed doors. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Those in power understand the rules of the game. They study optics, they control narratives, and they make moves others don't even see coming. Meanwhile, the masses are taught to follow the script. Work hard, be nice, wait your turn. But power doesn't wait. Machiavelli wasn't cold. He was clear-eyed. He wrote for people who didn't have the luxury of naivete. And neither do you, because next, we're diving into the specific tactics people use to control others. Subtle, sneaky, and shockingly effective. If you can recognize them, you can resist them. But if you don't, you'll never even see them coming. The Machiavellian mindset. Most people are raised to be idealists. Believe in the good, trust intentions, act from the heart, and things will work out. But Machiavelli saw the flaw in that. He wasn't interested in how the world should work. He studied how it does. And what he uncovered still rattles people today. At the core of the Machiavellian mindset is this: appearance matters more than essence. People judge what they see, not what's true. So if you look confident, competent, loyal, you're already ahead, even if it's just a mask. Why? Because most won't look deeper. They don't want truth. They want comfort. Machiavelli also warned, never rely on goodwill. It fades, it shifts. One bad day, and the crowd that praised you will turn. That's why real power comes not from being loved, but from being necessary, being feared just enough, and staying in control of the narrative. Two key ideas explain this. First, virtue. Not virtue in the moral sense, but strength, adaptability, boldness, the ability to shape your fate. Second, fortuna, luck, chaos, the unpredictable. You can't control it, but you can prepare for it. Machiavelli believed the strong don't wait for fortune, they seize it, even if it means bending the rules. That's where calculated ruthlessness comes in. Not cruelty for its own sake, but the willingness to do what others won't when it matters most. The idealist says, that's wrong. The strategist says, that works. This isn't about becoming a villain. It's about waking up. In a world full of actors, those who play blind get played hardest. The Machiavellian doesn't hope for justice. They engineer outcomes, quietly, relentlessly. Next, we'll look at how this mindset shows up in modern life, from toxic workplaces to nice guy manipulation, and why playing fair isn't always safe. Manipulation works because you need approval. Here's the part most people avoid. Manipulation doesn't just happen to you. It happens through you, through your need to be liked, through your craving for approval, through that quiet, desperate fear of being rejected. Because deep down, most people don't want truth. They want acceptance. You want to belong. You want to feel safe. You want others to smile, nod, and say, you're doing great. And that's exactly what makes you vulnerable. Not because you're broken, but because you're human. Think about it. Why do you hesitate to say no even when you're uncomfortable? Why do you let things slide even when they cross a line? It's not weakness. It's survival instinct. We're wired to seek connection, and that wiring can be hacked. Psychologists have studied this for decades. People with a high fear of rejection are the easiest to manipulate. Why? Because they'll do anything to avoid conflict. They'll compromise their values just to keep the peace. They'll say yes when they mean no, because the idea of disappointing someone feels worse than betrayal. Manipulators know this. They sense it. They mirror your tone, flatter your ego, make you feel seen. And once you're hooked on their approval, they've got you. Not through threats, but through your own need to please. This is why awareness matters. You don't need to kill your empathy, but you do need to stop handing it out without boundaries. If you can't tolerate someone not liking you, you're already under their control. Next, we'll expose the exact tactics manipulators use to exploit this need. Subtle, psychological moves that seem harmless until you realize you've been dancing to someone else's tune. Power isn't given. It's taken strategically. Let's kill the myth right here. Power isn't earned just by being good, working hard, or waiting your turn. That's a bedtime story for adults. In the real world, power is taken strategically, deliberately, and often quietly. Look at the people who actually hold influence. That CEO didn't get there by being the nicest person in the room. They got there by reading the politics, building alliances, taking risks others wouldn't. That politician you see shaking hands and smiling for cameras, behind the scenes, they're cutting deals, controlling narratives, and eliminating threats before those threats even realize their targets. Even in everyday life, it's the same game. The influencer who seems authentic, their image is curated to perfection. Every post is calculated. Every caption, timed. They didn't stumble into attention. They engineered it. That's not luck. That's strategy. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that rulers must learn how to act, not how men ought to live, but how they do live. And that if you want to survive in a ruthless world, you can't play by rules no one else is following. Being liked is nice. Being useful is better. Being powerful, that takes moves. You can be a good person. You can have integrity. But if you think that alone is enough to earn respect, you'll be waiting forever. Respect doesn't flow to the meek. It follows those who command it, who shape perception, position themselves well, and refuse to play small. So here's the real question. Are you willing to stop waiting for permission? Because up next, we're breaking down the rules of power that no one teaches you, but everyone uses against you. How to see through the mask. Manipulators don't show up wearing horns. They show up smiling, charming, disarming. That's what makes them effective. They don't look dangerous. They look like your friend, your mentor, your soulmate. But beneath that polished surface, it's all strategy. So how do you see through the mask? Start with flattery. Real compliments are specific and earned. Strategic flattery is vague, excessive, and shows up too soon. If someone barely knows you but already says, "You're amazing," "I've never met anyone like you," hit pause. They're not admiring you. They're softening you. Then, there's feigned weakness, playing helpless to trigger your empathy. Suddenly, you're fixing their problems, soothing their emotions, walking on eggshells so they feel okay. It's a trap, because now you're emotionally invested, and they're in control without ever raising their voice. Watch for false vulnerability. Real vulnerability is messy and honest. Manipulative vulnerability is rehearsed. It's just enough pain to make you feel close, but not enough to reveal anything real. It's a performance, and you're the audience. Here's the rule. Charm is a tool, not a truth. Don't listen to what someone says. Watch what they do. Do their words match their actions? Are you constantly giving while they stay passive? Do you feel indebted to them for no clear reason? The moment you start explaining away someone's behavior, you're already caught in the web. Learning to spot manipulation isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about becoming clear-eyed. You can still trust people. Just trust your discernment more. Next, we'll flip the lens. Not just how to see manipulation, but how to stop inviting it. Because boundaries aren't walls, they're power. How to use power without losing yourself. A lot of people hear the word power and immediately flinch. They think it means becoming cold, manipulative, maybe even cruel. But that's the fear talking, not the truth. Power doesn't corrupt you. Unconscious power does. Real conscious power? That's something else entirely. You don't have to lie, cheat, or backstab to think strategically. You just have to stop assuming that being good is the same as being effective. It's not. And Machiavelli, for all his reputation, never said you had to be evil. He said you had to be awake. Strategic thinking isn't about using people. It's about understanding people, their fears, their motives, their limits. It's about choosing when to speak, how to act, and where to draw the line, so you don't end up betrayed, exhausted, or erased. It's not manipulation, it's precision. Think of it like martial arts. You don't walk around throwing punches at strangers. But if someone threatens you, you know how to respond, with calm, with control, with power. That's what inner strength looks like. Not loud, not reckless, just ready. Machiavellianism without conscience is dangerous, but conscience without strategy, that's powerless. You need both. You can lead with integrity and still play the game with clarity. You can be kind, but never naive, empathetic, but not exploitable. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming unshakable, a version of you that's not so easily fooled, used, or sidelined. And now, we bring it all together. What does it actually look like to live with this mindset in your everyday life? Let's build the new rule book, one move at a time. Adopt the rule before it's used on you. You don't have to become ruthless, but you do have to stop being naive. Because whether you like it or not, the game is already being played, and if you're not playing it, chances are you're being played by it. Not everyone plays fair. Not everyone has good intentions. And while you're busy giving people the benefit of the doubt, someone else is studying your weaknesses, your blind spots, your silence. This isn't paranoia, it's reality. The world isn't built to protect the innocent, it rewards the aware. That's why Machiavelli's rule matters. Strategy over virtue. Awareness over blind trust. You don't have to lie, cheat, or manipulate. But you do have to learn how to read the room, how to hold your ground, how to act with intention, not just hope. Because if you don't adopt this mindset, someone else will adopt it against you. They'll smile while they strip you of your time, your energy, your power, and you'll thank them for it. This isn't about becoming hard. It's about becoming sharp, controlled, aware. You don't need to lose your heart. You just need to protect it, on purpose. So ask yourself, would you rather be liked by everyone and owned by a few, or respected by most and controlled by no one? It's time to stop being the pawn and start learning the rules. Stop being easy to control. Here's a hard truth. If you're always trying to be liked, you're handing people the blueprint to control you. When you bend to please, avoid conflict, or swallow your truth just to keep the peace, you make yourself predictable, easy to read, easy to manipulate. But self-respect? That's a different game. It's not about being ruthless or cold-hearted. It's about being strategic, knowing when to stand firm, when to speak up, when to say no without guilt. It means setting boundaries, not walls. When you stop trying to be everyone's favorite, you stop being everyone's target. People respect strength, even if it's quiet. They feel it. And that respect? It's your best defense. You don't have to play dirty to win. You just have to play smart. So, next time you feel that urge to please at your own expense, pause. Ask yourself, am I being kind or easy? Because there's a world of difference. Take back your power, protect your peace, and most importantly, never let anyone manipulate you again.